Welcome back to the WTS. My name is Steve Ramsey, and I relentlessly scour the earth to find the most creative people in the world and bring them to you in podcast form. If you enjoy this show, please consider supporting it by becoming a WTS Plus member over at patreon.com/the WTS. I'll send you a free sticker too. Well, I guess it's not exactly free if you're supporting the show, but you know what I mean.
Mostly.
Since the Halloween season, the most wonderful time of the year, is upon us, I'm happy to have Jamie Nakai and Jay Grenier joining me back on the podcast. Their YouTube channel, Wicked Bakers, is the place to go for all of your DIY Halloween decorating needs. You can learn how to make spider webs, creepy skulls, haunted mirrors. Actually, all skulls are kind of creepy, though, really. I was a little bit redundant there, I guess, for me to say that. The haunted mirrors, floating ghosts. Oh, there's another redundancy. I guess ghosts do kind of float, right? I guess it depends on what kind of ghost.
Getting into Halloween technicalities.
Yeah, I think I'm overthinking this again. Pirate chests you can make. There's a lot more things on their channel you can learn about. In this episode, we're going to scare up some ideas for haunting your own house or possessing your parties with simple to elaborate props and decorations. Hey guys, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yeah, super excited to be here again.
See, I always wanted to live in a haunted house. I always wanted my house to be like a real haunted house where like things would just move in the night. Because I would have guests over. You got to check out this rocking chair up in the attic. It just moves on its own.
That would be awesome.
We want to build like a haunted house someday that has just all sorts of stuff like that. That's just almost like an escape room / haunted house. That'd be super fun to make awesome. A whole like a destination for that.
Yeah, I remember asking you about that last time, if that's something you'd considered. Are you moving forward with that at all, or is that just kind of in the back burner, one of these days kind of thing?
It's definitely still a one of these days type of thing, but we just went full time with the YouTube channel like a month ago or so, something like that. So now we've kind of got a little more freedom to start exploring some of these bigger ideas, and that's definitely one of them that we're trying to figure out if and when we could do something like that.
So what happened to make you guys go full time? Any one particular event, or you just decided, wow, this is a great time to do it?
That's a great question. Was there one event? I think it was like a slow build up over. So this is our 4th year doing the channel, and thanks to everybody else who loves Halloween, we've finally kind of hit a point growth wise where it's sustainable for us and for our family. So as long as we keep making projects and building stuff that people seem to like a lot, I guess it finally hit a tipping point where, it was a reachable thing. So we took the leap, and here we are.
Doing like sponsorships and stuff. Is that how you're supporting this channel?
Yeah, I'd say it's a little bit of sponsorships. It's a lot of like affiliate stuff. So whenever we build a project, we'll post links to all the materials and things, and we get a little cut of that, which is really nice. Our awesome Patreon supporters, of which there are many, we really thank all of you guys for that. And so, yeah, we're kind of spread out quite a bit. And of course, YouTube, provides a little bit of revenue from the ads and stuff like that. So it's a lot of things adding up into one sustainable pile.
Have you tried to get a hold of Spirit Halloween to support the show, or have they sponsored the show before?
They have not, no. We have not, and we actually have not tried to reach out to them yet.
Oh man, that's a perfect fit.
Doing stuff with that.
Oh, this is the perfect fit. I mean, and Spirit Halloween store is like, they're like rock stars now. I mean, everybody loves Spirit Halloween. Even people who aren't really even into Halloween, it's amazing. I was watching a video on like the business of it, and that they're owned by Spencer's Gifts, which I didn't even realize was still around. I don't really. Malls around here are just dead. But the Spirit Halloween store does more revenue in this short period of time than all the year of Spencer Gifts. It's amazing.
Wow.
And the business model is perfect because they have low overhead. They just set it up wherever there's cheap, they're a pop-up store.
And it's like you said, people really love the brand and the store, and they get really, like, there's some absolutely diehard fans of Spirit, and people get so excited when the stores open, and because and they have new stuff each year, which is pretty nice. So this
And it's
year we
cool
actually
stuff.
started a yeah, totally. We started a new series on this Halloween season where we're getting props from places like Spirit or Home Depot, like props that are already made, and then we're giving them these makeovers, right? So instead of starting from totally from scratch, you get something that's already halfway there, or in some cases like really nice looking, and we just make it totally different. We'll give it new clothes, we'll kind of like paint it differently, kind of update some of the stuff, and that's been really fun because we can use things that people already know about or are familiar with, but give them our own twist and show people how they can kind of, if you've got a bunch of houses on your street and everybody's got the same type of stuff
Yeah.
from Home Depot, yours can look different than everybody else's.
Right. You just go around, oh, they went to Spirit, but yeah, your stuff. You really hit the sweet spot with that series too, because those videos do really well. I think that it's something about that. I think that people love the stuff that they can buy at Spirit or Home Depot or the animatronics or whatever, but they just really want to take it to that next level. And that's what you guys do, is you guys totally trick those things out. They look awesome. And those videos, yeah, I mean, those are easily some of your best performing videos lately, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. It surprised us. We actually did the witch first, although we didn't release her first. And we'd got her over the summer, and she sat around for a while. Like, all right, let's finally fix her up. And I think we were surprised by, one, how cool we were actually able to make her. And yeah, then once we started releasing the videos, like, people loved it, and we were so excited about that.
It's been, as content creators, we're kind of always on the lookout for trying to understand, what works, right? And what people like and kind of why. Because for us, it feels a little bit just like, oh, it's just another project. We're just having fun making stuff like we always do. But the response has been amazing. And so that's kind of led us to think about it more. And it's just like you said, it's starting from something that already exists and kind of plussing it and showing people that you can take a prop. For example, so I got this right here. So this is a tombstone. It's about halfway finished. But we got this at Home Depot, and we've recarved it and repainted it. So this was just like I think this costs $15 or something, right? And so, yeah, we just, recarved some of the cracks, and we put our own letters in it, and we repainted it, and we can go over.
We didn't repaint it yet. We gave it a coat of dry lock,
yeah.
and then we're going to repaint it.
We're going to repaint it. But this is sort of a cheap looking, like kind of mediocre looking tombstone that with, a couple of hours of effort can turn into like a perfectly realistic thing. And you don't have to worry about, carving, the shapes. And so being able to start from something at the store is great.
Do you guys have anything in mind, or you just go around looking at stores and just you see something, you're like, that might work?
Usually it's that way. Yeah, we'll go to a store and look for inspiration. Like when we saw Lord Raven, we knew he's the big bird guy. Like, we knew we had to give him wings. That was like our number one goal with him. And then the rest of his character design kind of evolved after that. So yeah, we'll go look around, see what we can do with different props, see what has potential.
That's my favorite part, is just going to the store with no plan. I mean, like, what are we gonna make? We do the same thing at thrift stores. We'll go to Goodwill and just walk around, be like, oh, there's this old weird thingamabob that costs $3. Like, what cool thing can we do with this? And sometimes, it doesn't always work out great, but it's when that inspiration does hit, it's my favorite part.
Yeah, the Lord Raven looks awesome. I think that, and you didn't use feathers for his feathers, did you? Use, like, what was it? It's like plants, or it's like decorative fake foliage or something.
So for the wings, we use polyethylene foam, and that's actually like the foam you put underneath a laminate floor when you're doing floors. It's really cool because you cut it in your feather shapes, and you take a heat gun and like you heat it for a second and then stick it on, and it's like instant glue. So you don't need to use glue for it, and it's really lightweight and it moves. And
oh yeah, when the wind blows, it looks crazy.
Yeah, and then for his big feathers in the back, we used fake foliage. So we used some ferns and different leaves and painted those.
Well, I think
black.
that was brilliant to do that. It looks really.
That was all her.
It's nice because they have more structure than like your typical feather, and they're not going to get all messed up, and feathers kind of degrade over time. So
do you take into consideration as far as how much detail to put into it, about the person viewing it, and that mostly they're probably going to be viewing it at night. Do you take that in consideration, or did you just like want to make it highly detailed for even close-up looks?
That's a great question, and it comes up all the time on the channel, particularly for Halloween. I think of it kind of like theater, where if you're building a theater set, the vast majority of people are viewing it from pretty far away, right? So you don't need perfect dovetails and stuff like this because no one will ever even come close to seeing that. So you don't have to worry so much about the ultra fine detail. You know, you can kind of go with broad strokes and think about, like you said, something being viewed in the dark from like 50 feet away. So you're thinking about things like the silhouette, you know, the lighting on it, color contrast, right? So if you have a hand that's in front of the body, you don't want the hand to be black with a black body, right? Because you won't see it. So you want to think about the overall shape, but you don't really have to worry about cosplay level detail at a micro level. You know, you'll never see it.
Are your displays outside, are they illuminated? So you have lights on each one, or are they strategic lights? How do you do that?
It's not really lights on each one, but we've got a bunch of different colored floodlights around. So we'll have different layers of lights. One light may light up 2 or 3 tombstones. If it's a big prop like Lord Raven, we'll put one light directly on him.
And our chicken wire ghost too, which is so that we took just chicken wire and shaped it around a mannequin to look like this flowing kind of ethereal ghost shape. That would be just invisible without illumination. So that's an example of something where we would specifically light it in a very particular way, you know, to pull out the most detail. Or like the dark portal, like big, you know, key pieces will get their own lighting. But otherwise it's just, it's something you got to think about as somebody's walking down the street and they're approaching, you kind of want it to be visible, you know, from the middle of the night all the way, you know. A lot of kids start trick-or-treating at 5 o'clock when the sun's still up, right? So you kind of want to, ideally you want to build something that looks good in all the lights scenarios.
Yeah. Yeah, see, you know, when I was a kid, the daylight saving time started or ended earlier. And now it's after Halloween. I always kind of thought that's kind of a bummer because it's still light out when kids are trick-or-treating now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then depending on where you live, you know, like for us, the sun, I mean, even at the end of October at 8 o'clock, it's not even fully dark yet.
Oh, you're down in Texas, right?
Yeah, which is a struggle because we have some things like we use projectors and things like that, which really only work in the fully darkness. So
kids are already at home eating their candy.
Yeah. The majority of the kids come and go before the show really starts for some of the stuff.
Is that dark portal must be like the centerpiece of is that your like most crowning achievement of your display?
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. It's hard to for one, it's really big. It's like 11 feet tall and just this massive thing. So it's hard for it not to be the key thing.
Yeah.
But it is just really, really neat. I mean, people drive from all over town to see it, and kind of, I wish we had done it in a way where people could take pictures of it.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like you can't really go near it or it'll break.
You have to kind of experience it probably to really be there in person to see it. But even, I mean, on the video you guys did, I definitely get a good sense of it, how it works. And it really, looking at it on video, I would think most people would think it's just like CGI or it's just like video or something you did tricks, but it's really cool the way that works.
We get a lot of comments that are like, I thought this was clickbait, but this thing's actually real.
Like, wow. Fake.
Yeah. And you know what else is neat is like thousands of people have made their own versions of that. We made plans for it that are available on our Patreon, and it surprised us how many people were like super excited to take the leap.
It's really satisfying, huh?
Because it's so big, you know, it's a monstrous endeavor building something that large and with that much detail. And so many people have done it and they look so good. So that's just really nice to see.
Are you already setting up the yard? Here, it's September 30th when we're recording this, by the way. It'll be a couple of weeks before it's out.
We are planning on setting up this weekend, so that'll be right at the beginning of October, yeah.
Are you always adding to it throughout the season?
We will be. I think by the time we're setting up, I think we'll only have maybe a few more projects left to add to it. And a lot of them are the animatronics, so those won't, those will go in and out depending on what the weather's looking like, because the animatronics we're not going to leave out if it's going to rain or anything like that. But the bulk of it will all get set up this weekend. Yeah.
Yard getting pretty full.
Yes.
Yeah. So is our shed in the back. It's like,
oh, the storage. Yeah, I'll bet. Yeah.
It's slow. Like we have when we moved into the house, there's it's probably like 15 by 20 shed. So it's pretty big. And it's wall to wall shelving. And every year, it used to be mostly like yard stuff and a little bit of Halloween. And now it's like almost entirely Halloween stuff. Wow. And there's a little room for the lawnmower left in there. So.
Well, you see, these people who do the Christmas houses are the same way. They have this massive storage area, and they can spend months setting up these displays. I want to see more of that with the Halloween displays. Do you guys get featured in like local magazines and stuff for like directions to go visit interesting houses?
Not sometimes.
Yeah, we used to a couple of years. Actually, since we've done YouTube, like we've tried to like keep our actual house a little bit more low profile. But in the beginning, because we were doing this stuff like long before we started the YouTube channel, and but yeah, we've had the local news come out to check out the portal once or twice and stuff like that. And kids drive from. We're like the house, so people come from all over to see this stuff. So which is really fun because, and the tricky thing about it is it's like the one night of the year, right? You do all this work and you do all this stuff, and it's nice to have the decorations up all month because people can drive by and check it out. But for that full experience where the kids get to actually walk through, for us, we only do it really on the one night. Some people will do haunted house type things, walkthroughs where people all month long can come check it out. But for us, it's just the one night, so it's like you really try to maximize,
Well, you don't want to expand that to like a week before or something? Just let people come in and see it?
I would like to. I will say that. I would like to do that, but we find ourselves with very little time right now.
And then you got to sit there and kind of be a part of it for that whole evening or whatever,
And that's why I would love to do more of like a destination as opposed to it being our house, because we could maybe have
you guys
people
got to do a haunted
help
house
us out with it.
You guys got to set up a haunt. I mean, that would be so cool.
It'll happen someday.
I'm going down to Texas to go see it when you guys set that thing up.
Yeah, I would love to have that be part of the YouTube channel and stuff too, right? Like as we build out the haunt.
Yeah, it would be a follow along.
Yeah, almost like you watch those home renovation series. Like I'd love to do something like that for a haunt.
Oh man,
that's a
fantastic.
bucket list thing.
Okay, you put that towards the top of that bucket. Okay, I want to see that. Are you gonna? I think I asked you last year if you were considering doing like a video walkthrough. Are you gonna do that this year of your whole display?
We're always on the fence about that one.
Come on, you got to do that. I mean, it would be just so cool. Everybody would love it. They would love to see after all these projects, just to kind of see the whole thing come to life.
I think we're planning to show a little bit of it this time. Yeah. Maybe not like the full tour, but.
Why are you hesitant because you're to show your house, or why the hesitation?
No, it's not the house. It's almost like by the time we get everything, it's a very selfish reason, to be honest. But by the time we get everything set up, we just want to enjoy it, And it's been, we essentially work all year long to produce as many videos as we can for Halloween. But it's really, it's a really special kind of like month for us because we love the holiday and we love sharing it with the neighborhood and everything. And it's like we almost want to turn off the video part of it for just a little while to just enjoy the holiday.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been our excuse in the past. But this year, like you said, everybody has been asking for years. So we'll probably at least film some of it and put everything in like a final video right at the end of the month.
Yeah. So what's your strategy now that you're doing full time for the rest of the year as far as producing content?
Well, I feel like that changes day to day, but right now.
I mean, is it hard to get people to watch Halloween projects in, February or something?
I really hope they do. Yeah, we're going to continue doing videos throughout the year. We're hoping to do at least one a month, maybe two a month. And they're going to be spooky. We'll still do some prop makeovers. We'll try and do some other type DIYs, but it'll always have that kind of spooky Halloween twist to it.
Yeah.
It's definitely evolving. daily because we need, we can't take the whole year off, right? As full-time creators, we want to continue to build content. And, but yeah, it's, people usually don't watch Halloween videos in March. We've tried and it doesn't really work out in a way that makes sense for us. So we have some ideas and we're going to try those and see what happens. And then we'll pivot/adjust and evolve and try to find something that works. But we're definitely going to keep creating all year long.
Yeah, and it's the kind of thing you can always year-round make the Halloween projects, shoot the video, and then release them all. I would imagine that would work pretty well. I mean, it's basically like the Spirit Halloween store. It's only open a certain period of time, but the rest of the year they're still active doing stuff. And I know I get the Spirit Halloween newsletter in my email, and I just think it's kind of cool in like May to get Halloween stuff. But that's just me. I don't know.
That's why we're talking right now.
Well, exactly. That's why I had you on, because we're getting close to.
And what's funny is a lot of like all of the big. So there's a bunch of Halloween trade shows for. Most of them are for like people who run professional haunted houses or theme parks and stuff like that. But they're all in the off season, So all year long, starting like February, there's a big one in March. There's one in May. Like there's all year long throughout the country. There's these trade shows where people are going and they're selling props and they're selling services to help with haunted houses and things like that. So there's a lot of activity, but it's not typical to like have all sorts of YouTube content. So we're going to navigate that and see what happens. And if you're out there and you love Halloween, definitely, we'll be active all year long.
Did you see where Spirit Halloween, there's a movie coming out?
Yeah, that comes out this weekend, right?
I know. It's crazy.
So crazy.
A movie based on a store. But it looks like it actually do
pretty well too.
It looks like it actually might be pretty good because it looks kind of self-aware and it looks kind of like it's taking a little fun route with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
kind of a campy thing. Yeah,
totally.
Yeah.
And Christopher Lloyd's in it. Like it's like
right. Yeah. I think it takes place in a Spirit Halloween store. It's all very meta.
And also Hocus Pocus 2 comes out, I think, today, which is exciting. Like just and Halloween Ends, the quote unquote final, we'll see. But the last Halloween movie is supposed to wrap up that whole series of 30 plus years. So
amazing.
There's some decent flicks coming out this season.
Well, that's my whole life. I know you guys don't watch a whole lot of horror movies. I remember that from last time. That kind of surprised me. You guys aren't really huge horror fans.
Well, Jamie is.
I am.
I really don't like the gory stuff.
That's right. It was you, Jay.
On our channel.
Yeah, you say that on your channel. I think it's in the about section. It says that you're fans of, or it's like family friendly stuff you make. PG.
Yeah.
PG.
Yeah. We have a lot of kids watch our channel, and like our son is 4. He's about to turn 5, and he's right at that age where he likes it, but he won't go in Spirit Halloween right now.
Because of those things that jump out.
Yeah.
You step on the thing and he's going to jump at you.
Yeah, and we have a lot of viewers who are in that same space, and we want Halloween to, like it, a big part of it is horror and being scared and getting out of your comfort zone. But we're trying to manage it where it's kind of family friendly and you can watch it with your kids and not worry about being grossed out or scared or anything like that.
Do you find that's kind of a hard fine line to walk, or you have no problem? I mean, I would imagine like a family in, I don't want to say Arkansas, I don't know, who sees something like ghosts, who actually might believe in ghosts and spirits and this sort of thing find that offensive.
We get a lot of inspiration from like Disneyland, Pirates of the Caribbean, Not Scary Farm. And so, we're trying to, there's a lot of themes around Halloween, witches, things like they don't have to be gross and macabre and, gory.
Yeah. And I think like, scary is fine for us. Like we're good with scary. It's just the blood and guts. And
you'll never see blood all over our props and stuff like that. It's just not something we're super into. And I think there's a lot of horror movies which are just all about that, right? Like that's their whole thing is let's be as. And I think it's funny because at the same time, one of my favorite. I love the Sam Raimi horror movies that
Evil
are just
Dead.
like ridiculously gross.
Oh, they're over the top.
But in an over the top, campy kind of self-aware kind of way.
Yeah.
But then there's movies
totally.
like Saw and stuff like that. Where like, I don't want anything to do with
I love
them.
them all. I love them all.
I know you do.
You know what you got to see is the Hatchet series. I don't know if you've seen Hatchet. It's a lot like Evil Dead. It's like comedy, gore, blood. I mean, it's just so ridiculously over the top. And I think it's hilarious.
I really loved the new Doctor Strange movie that Sam Raimi did.
Oh, I haven't seen that. That's right. Sam Raimi did that.
Yeah, because it's got a lot of that type of stuff in it. It's
Yeah.
very cool. You know what I really like too is like I don't know if you've seen those Netflix shows like the Haunting of Hill House.
Oh,
or
sure,
The Haunting
yeah.
of Bly Manor. That's
Yeah.
the type of horror I really love. Like that psychological, like you don't even really see anything, but you're still not going to sleep tonight. Like those
Yeah.
types of things.
Yeah,
I really
that's
like
actually kind of what I'm drawn to the most too. But you know, I think of gory films as being 80s for the most part, you know, and then it just kind of was campy now, I suppose.
Right.
Do you think when somebody sets up, if somebody wants to decorate their yard for Halloween, do you think they should have a theme to it, or just, do you guys have a theme, or is it just kind of just random things?
I think themes can definitely be helpful. Ours is kind of a spooky cemetery theme, but
We
Like,
have,
so,
we have
like-
like several sections.
we do. We have the cemetery area. We have our skeleton area where all the skeletons are playing and doing their drinking and whatnot. And then the dark
The
portal.
debauchery of the skeletons.
Yeah. The dark portal kind of fits into the cemetery area because it's made of stone and stuff. And then we have like a witch area, so we'll have the cauldron. We have our rocking chair witch now, so we have like little vignettes of sections. But like a clown would probably never fit in to our
Yeah.
haunt.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe.
I would. I mean, for us to answer your question, I think it can help creatively, right? If you're stuck and you're not sure what to do, picking a theme is great. You know, pick pirates or clowns, or some people do like aliens in space. Maybe it's a mad scientist's laboratory, or an old haunted. Like, you know what I mean? You can kind of pick a thing.
Evil
and then you can-
YouTubers. I want that to be a theme.
And then conversely, I think you see a lot of houses where it's like everything, you know.
Yeah.
You got the clown next to the pirate, next to the witch, next to the ghost.
Those are
and then
usually the
the
houses that
werewolf
have
and
all
the-
of the inflatables.
Yeah. And I think like I look at that and I'm like, okay, that's a little all over the place. But I guarantee you the 5-year-olds are like, oh, this is the greatest.
They love
thing
it.
ever." You know, they
Yeah.
don't care. Kids don't care at all.
No.
Right.
They love it. They love every little bit of it. So do whatever you want and the kids are going to love it.
Do people walk into your yard, or is it just you look at it all from the street? Is there a path
We have a
through
path. Yeah, there's one little path that goes through, like right up the middle, and then up to the front door.
it? Yeah. And for the most part, nobody ever like touches things or messes with them or bothers them.
And they touch things all the time.
But they don't.
Crazy,
Do they damage anything?
So
Rarely.
far, no. My biggest worry is like, so we've got the power cords everywhere to light
Oh,
everything,
right,
and then in
right.
the dark, the kids aren't seeing the power cords. I'm worried they're just gonna trip on those and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so far no one's really damaged anything, which we're lucky about that.
Yeah, I think we're very lucky to be in a good neighborhood where we don't have to worry about vandalism and things
Yeah.
like that. Because that's a very real concern for a lot of folks. We hear about it all the time. Like that, like people don't want to put their stuff out this early because it'll get stolen or damaged or something. Or maybe they live in like, super windy places where stuff just
Oh,
blows
right.
away in the weather, So yeah, but for the most part, people are respectful, and we're also out there the whole time, kind of watching like a hawk, because sometimes kids are kids and they're just excited,
I bet you guys give out the good candy, don't you?
I think so. I think you're about pretty good candy.
It's the average candy.
See, you guys are not the kind of people who would give out like Werther's or hard candy or something. I think.
Like those
You
old
guys-
Grandma
licorice
candy?
things. Yeah.
Right, you guys seem like the kinds that would have like the full-size candy bars. Everybody's like, damn, you got to go over to Jamie's house this year.
There's no candy corn at our house.
Yeah. Oh God. So we had this discussion the other day. It was really funny. We were at Target, and the Target now everybody's trying to copy Spirit, and they have like this big branded Halloween section now. we were trying to come up with like a tier list of Halloween candy, and like candy corn was definitely at the bottom. It's like, who eats this crap?
Yeah.
It's horrible.
There was a big debate on our Discord the other day about candy corn, and I think the general consensus was like, in very small doses, it's a couple pieces here and there, not so bad, but a huge bowl of it, no way.
Yeah. You see, I've come to that conclusion about pumpkin spice latte, and so this is off the track here, but like pumpkin spice lattes, when you first get it, this is just me, and I think, oh, this is really good, that first sip, and then each progressive sip, it gets worse and worse to me. By the time I'm halfway through that cup, I'm like, oh God, this is just overwhelmingly bad.
I could not agree with that possibly anymore. Like, that's exactly how I feel.
I love them.
She'll drink like 5 of them in a row.
You're so basic.
But it's good they're seasonal, because then by the time fall's
Right.
over, then I'm not done with them for a while.
Right.
I normally drink very black, very bitter coffee. So, so
That's what
any
I
of those
do.
sugary
Yeah.
things are tough. But yeah, that one in particular, it's like you said, the first few sips. Oh yeah, it's fall. This is great. Now,
It has the uncanny ability to just get worse and worse. Okay, so somebody goes to Halloween spirit store, or wherever, and they want to get started, build something, or not build something. They want to do a makeover. Where would be a good place to start? Like a skeleton, maybe? Because the skeletons look pretty crappy when they're just those white plastic skeletons.
That's right.
Yeah, so if you want to do a skeleton theme, the first thing you can do is use wood stain, and you can make it really realistic. So your typical skeleton starts off like this guy, and he's okay. He's got some detail on him. But if you put a little bit of this wood stain on it, let it seep into the cracks, and wipe it off, you can make him look like this. There's way more. Minus the candle, but he looks a lot more realistic and creepy and cool.
Wood stain sticks to the plastic all right? Doesn't get sticky or anything?
Yeah, so
it does take a few days to fully cure, but but once it's done, yeah, it's not sticky.
And it looks like did you put some sort of a finish over that? It looks glossy.
No,
or
that's
shiny.
just from
That's
the
just from the
itself.
stain.
Yeah.
And if you don't like the
so
gloss,
cool.
you can hit it with some steel wool.
But see,
or
that
a
looks
lacquer
like
or something.
that looks like real bone there. That's
Yeah,
not like
and it's
the
so
white
easy.
plastic.
Like, starting with a good. So there's every store has different skeletons, right? So for example, we really like this particular skull, which they used to have at Target, and now
They sell them at HEB here.
Our local grocery store for some reason. Target switched out.
You never know what you're gonna find at the local grocery store.
Find a skeleton that you actually like the shape of and stuff. And then all you got to do is, so if you're, a lot of you guys are probably woodworkers and probably have tons of random stain canisters in your shop. That's why I like to use the oil-based wood stain, because you get a really bright, vibrant color from it. But the flip side is you kind of have to wipe off a lot, and it will take forever to dry, but you'll get really nice color. But you can also use a water-based stain, or even like acrylic paints that are just watered down. And that's much simpler. It'll dry right away, but you don't get quite as much color that you will from like a nice stain like this.
Yeah, plus you get that like blotchiness that is, like for wood, you don't want that, but on this, it looks great because it's kind of an uneven modeling.
And it's not going to absorb like it will with wood. So you really have to wipe off almost all of it, but kind of keep it blotchy, like using like a wet paper towel to kind of, instead of just wiping off all the excess, you'll kind of, just do it a little bit blotchy all over. And then let it sit, probably outside because it's going to fume. But yeah, just a couple days, and then you'll have, very low effort basically to have something like this turn into something that looks almost realistic. It's super cool.
Yeah.
Another fun thing people do is they corpse their skeletons. And to do that, like you take your skeleton and you wrap it in plastic wrap. You can use like the Reynolds wrap, or you can go something thicker like the plastic painter's tarp, and you hit it with a heat gun. And what that does, it kind of shrink wraps it and like makes little holes in it, and it looks like rotting flesh on the skeleton.
I want to do that.
And then after that, you can color it with some wood stain and some acrylic paints and stuff like that. And the people who do it looks really cool. So that's another fun thing you can do with a basic skeleton.
It was funny.
That's next level right there. That's cool.
Yeah, and we were coming up with some ideas to talk about, and we realized like we use a lot of construction stuff. Like we're in our garage and we build everything out here, but it's also a wood shop, So I think if you're a woodworker or somebody who just spends a lot of time in the shop, a lot of your normal stuff is what we would use. So this is great stuff, expanding foam. And you can use this for a ton of projects where you can make giant shapes with it. Like we made a giant 10-foot long spider and used this stuff to make its body. But you can also use it to, like, you were talking about corpsing. Just spray a tiny little bit of it and kind of wipe it around, and it will kind of look like little bits of flesh or skin or whatever.
You can make beautiful intestines with this and guts coming out.
Gross. But yes.
I saw a
But
guy
you're not
who made,
doing
like,
the gore.
a giant brain out of it. It also makes really cool fire pits.
Oh, wow. So spray foam, wood stain, kind of like some staples you want there. What else can we use?
This stuff. So this is called
Dry lock.
and it's a masonry sealer. So you would typically use this if you were building like a rock wall or a pathway or something outside, and it kind of waterproofs and seals. But the cool thing about it is it's essentially an exterior paint that's has a sandy, thick texture. So we'll use this to create fake stone. So we'll use something like, this is another thing we use constantly. This is called XPS insulation foam. So this is literally what's
I use that
in the
underneath
walls.
I use it underneath my circular saw when I'm cutting plywood.
Yeah, so it's an ultra dense foam that you can kind of shape and carve really easily. But if you take a piece of this, and this is how we make tombstones, we'll cover this in this dry lock, which gives it this very rocky kind of texture, and then it sort of serves to seal it and prime it and waterproof it, and then we'll paint on top of that, and it looks like real stone.
Yeah, and this stuff carves super easily, so you can use it to make like a bunch of different architectural things. Like you can take a wire brush to it and scrape it on there, and it'll look like old aged wood. Or you can spray it with some water and then hit it with a heat gun, and it makes all these little pock marks. So it makes a better stone texture. I've seen people make like fake bricks out of it, like more like fireplaces, things like that. So really useful stuff, and it's so light.
That's a flat sheet. So if you wanted to build that up, you would just glue those together, I presume, and make like a stack of them. And what would you glue that with? Like hot glue or something?
No, you don't want to use hot glue. You can glue it together actually with this stuff, the expanding foam.
Oh, with the expanding foam.
Or we use Gorilla Glue, the regular Gorilla Glue stuff, and that glues it together pretty nice.
It is the type of foam that anything acetone or solvent-based will dissolve the foam. So like, for example, spray paint will kind of mess it up, or super glue, same thing. However, sometimes you use that to your advantage. You can hit it with a little spray paint, it will give it a texture, and then you can dry lock over that to create kind of a more organic or stone-like shape. So this is a crazy versatile thing, and it's just construction foam. Like you can get this at Home Depot really easy. It kind of depends where you live. If you live in a really warm place that doesn't insulate, they might not have this. But it's good. It's good stuff.
Okay, you got your skull and skeleton. Go out and buy it. Put some stain on it. Boom, you got a cool looking skull. We can make headstones, tombstones, really neat. What else would be entry level?
Ghosts are definitely easy. There's so many different ways to make ghosts too. Like, so we have the chicken wire ghost on our channel. So you can take like a mannequin form and form your chicken wire around that, or you can just freehand it. And that chicken wire makes a really cool ghost form. Also, you can make a ghost out of packing tape. So you would take like your friend, or you take your spouse, and you can wrap their arm with saran wrap, and then cover it in packing tape and cut it off, tape it back together, and it makes this really cool translucent body part. So you can do a whole body like that and have packing tape ghosts all over your yard. So that's a really fun one. And then I've seen on TikTok, people are making just really simple ghosts out of a tomato cage. So they turn it upside down, so your pokey things are at the top, put a styrofoam ball on there, cover it with lights, and then put your sheet on top, and it's a super cute little ghost.
But we could do better than that, I'm sure. So if you did the chicken wire, what do you wrap that with? You use the plastic for that, or would you wrap that with fabric?
The chicken wire, we just light it, and it looks cool.
Yeah. Just as it is. You don't need to fill in those.
You can hit it with like you can just leave it alone completely.
Oh, that sort of makes it translucent or transparent then, doesn't it?
In the daytime, it'll look mostly translucent, and then at night, if you shine a light up, because it's metal, it will reflect the light, and it looks super neat. You can also hit it with like a glow-in-the-dark paint, which is a pretty cool thing to do.
Kind of works, yeah.
Kind of works, yeah.
But the lighting's the best. And then what we use is when you know those lights that kind of spin around. I think they're called fire and ice lights. So if you shine one of those at it, it's got this like eerie movement going on. Yeah. It's really cool.
It gives it that effect like when you're looking at light reflecting off of like a pool of water and how it kind of like bounces around. And so it looks very ethereal, like it's kind of half there, half floating around. It's neat. But yeah, that's you literally just need chicken wire. And the tricky part is shaping it. You know, we went out and on a Craigslist or something, we found like an old mannequin to use for creating like a body shape, because the packing tape you could wrap around yourself or something, but you're not going to be able to do that with chicken wire. So getting the actual shape of whatever you're making is the hard part, but otherwise that's really all you need. And wear gloves.
I mean, just experimenting with just all these different materials. It's got to be just the most fun. Just see what's going to happen, isn't it?
The latest random building material we found was the underlayment, floor underlayment. That's what we made our wings out of for Lord Raven. So it's pool noodles for sort of the ridge, and then all the feathers are made out of, yeah, like you said, just it's like this really thin stuff that you'd put under vinyl flooring, and for some reason it makes perfect wings. It's like.
Oh, and then pool noodles. Pool noodles are
you do a lot with pool noodles.
Yes, so much. But they're the best for making like filling out a body. So if you have one of those cheap props from Spirit and it's got wire arms, stick a pool noodle in there, and now it has form and mass, and it just looks so much better. And it's just $1 pool noodle.
And spider legs.
And spider legs, and the wing things, and people make candles out of them, like the pillar candles.
They're great, and they're consistently cheap. You can almost always get them at like a dollar store or something like that. And we use those all the time. We use a lot of random stuff.
Yeah, it's fun. Would be a good next level project. Somebody wants to take their game up a little bit, like a medium level project. Would you bring electronics into it, or is that more like advanced level?
Well, it's all relative, right? If you work with electronics and you're comfortable with that.
Well, see, I think your Dark Portal, to me, that would be like top tier, advanced level.
I would say the Dark Portal is top tier intimidation, but medium level actual difficulty. Because the way I think of it is it's just a really big tombstone. It's the same technique scaled up to 10 feet tall, but you're literally just doing the same thing, and then for that one, we incorporated LEDs. So you're adding one more element where, we have one section, there's like these columns, and inside the column, we put an LED strip. And we're not talking about soldering and doing complicated stuff. These are, $15 LED strips you can get at CVS these days, right? And you just stick them in there and you plug them in. That's all you got to do. But then you cut a hole in the front, and we have like these glowing runes on the front of the column, right? So a lot of these projects, we do our best to present in that way, where it's like, look, the whole point is that it does seem really wild and crazy, but when you really break it down, everything's pretty easy to do and approachable. You just might have to do more of it. But I think at the intermediate level, I think anything that's more than a basic shape, right? So for example, if you wanted to build like a column instead of just a tombstone, like a lot of people will build like cemetery gates in front of their house. And so now you've got 4 sides to contend with, just like in woodworking when you're building a box, are you going to do miters, or are you just going to glue them together? And
then how are you going to get it to stand up? Like, are you going to put some PVC pipe and rebar, or are you going to make like a plywood or a 2x4 frame inside?
Yeah.
So there's those types of things to think about when you get into bigger stuff like that. But
anything that has a little bit of engineering involved, like if you're going to do like an archway, like how does it hold itself up without falling apart? But a lot of it is really, it's the same techniques that you were using on these other things, just either scaled up or applied a little bit differently. So they really do build on top of each other, which is nice.
Yeah, I guess it's probably the electronics that would seem intimidating to me.
Sure.
Like on the infinity mirror. I think you did an infinity mirror.
We didn't do an infinity mirror, but we did a like a haunted mirror where we did like a two-way glass mirror with a screen.
Oh, right. Now, yeah, I remember that now. Yeah.
And so that, I think that one, again, it presents itself as a little more complicated because you've got wires all over the place and stuff like that. But I think for some people that would be far less intimidating than getting in the shop and having paint all over the place, you know. So I
Yeah.
think it's relative to what you like to do. But yeah, once you get into like animatronics, like pneumatics, and you know, you've got relays and Arduinos firing and sound stuff, and you've got to power a whole. I mean, there's people who do really complicated stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I would.
We are not those people.
Is there anything somebody should be look out for if they want to buy an animatronic at the Spirit store? Because you know the animatronics could be a couple $100, but you want to like improve the animatronics. Is there anything to worry about? Like would adding clothes might make it heavier or not work
for
as well,
sure.
or should you tread lightly if you're going to modify an animatronic?
Yeah, I mean, definitely go slow. Yeah, so like for our scarecrow, we gave him this really cool, elaborate hat, and it totally broke his scare mechanism. Like he puts his head down, and then he's supposed to snap it up. We put the hat on it, and he does not snap up at all. And we're like,
The
oh,
scare
no.
mechanism. I like that.
He kind of went. Oh yeah, that's the thing.
So yeah, weight's definitely something to keep in mind if you are gonna, be modifying an animatronic.
Yeah.
That's
But-
why for the Raven's wings, we made them out of the foam because we knew we
Yeah.
didn't want to run into that problem again. So we made something super light.
But on that same token, I really think you should not be afraid to get in there and just get dirty and really try to make it your own, you know. And we have a bunch of videos that demonstrate how you can do that type of thing and different ways to approach it. But it's really, there's multiple levels of it. On one hand, you could just put some new clothes on it, and instead of looking like it just rolled off the factory floor, it now looks like it's been in the world and it looks like a real thing, right? And that's super easy to do. We'll pick up like a $3 pair of pants from the thrift store and just like cover them in paint and run over them with the truck, and just make them look old and dirty. And that's all you have to do sometimes to make a store-bought prop look amazing. Or you can take it apart and go further and you know, try to push it. But whether it's like a basic plastic skull or a $300 animatronic giant thing, you should always try to give it a little bit of your personality.
Right. And just go for it because there's low risk. I mean, if something doesn't look exactly right, it's like we were talking about, it's probably going to be dark and your people are going to be viewing it from a distance. So there's some room for error there, I would imagine.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yeah. And you probably have to consider the weather too you guys probably not so much other than rain, right? That would be your only inclement weather this time
We
of
get
year.
a lot of like big rainstorms in October. So yeah, most of our stuff is totally fine. The animatronics that's kind of a new thing for us this year.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, yeah, we have to be more mindful than usual of big rain and make sure those are not out in it.
Are you going to cover stuff up or anything if it rains, or you just let it go?
The animatronic, we'll probably actually bring those into our entryway if it rains, because I don't
right.
want those guys to get ruined. But some people will like build, have, tarp things in their yard that they put over them. There's ways I've seen where people try to waterproof them using like plastic trash bags over the mechanical parts of it. I don't trust that.
I think it's just another project, I think, yeah, there's a lot of ways people go through enormous effort to waterproof their electronics and people who live in like snowy areas, for example, where you might end up with a foot of snow on the ground for Halloween. They don't have the option to just bring it in and out when the weather
Right.
is, being kind. So there's a ton of videos and stuff out there if you're in that boat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we just really have the occasional insane rainstorm that we can, most of the time we know it's coming, so we can plan for it. And then like anything that's not electronic, like all the tombstones, the portal, the witch, the cauldron, all that stuff is waterproof and not a big deal. So we just leave it. We don't really.
I was thinking about you guys last month. I was at Disneyland. First time, since before the pandemic started, and it's all opened up now. But they were setting up the Haunted Mansion for Halloween, so we couldn't get in there. It was kind of a bummer.
Oh.
But You guys draw so much inspiration from that, and I'm sure, and Pirates, of course. I think we talked about that last time. That flame effect that you guys make is spectacular.
Yep. Jamie loves Haunted Mansion. You said that was like the thing when you were a kid that got you into all this in the first place, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Disneyland in general, but Haunted Mansion, the Pirates of the Caribbean, and actually the Indiana Jones ride.
Oh yeah.
That one came out when I was, the perfect age. I was like, oh my God, look at all this cool stuff that, they built for it. So all three of those are huge inspirations for me. And then Haunted Mansion, just in general, all the illusions that they do. Like, I want to make all of them. I want to make a Pepper's Ghost. I want to make that floating candelabra thing they have in the hallway. There's just so many cool tricks that they do that are really neat.
Yeah, I was kind of bummed we went and rode the Indiana Jones this time, and that ride is subject to. I mean, there's so much that goes into that, but it's subject to a lot of breakdowns and problems. But the final scene where the big boulder rolls, it wasn't working, and so it kind of missed the whole point of it. It's like, oh no, and then we just dropped down. Like, where's the ball? I felt so bad for people who'd never been on that ride before. They don't get to experience that.
Yeah, they're like, what's going on? That's too bad.
So that's one of those cool things that it feels like all of a sudden you're backing up, but it's amazingly that it's like the room itself moves forward to give you that illusion because the ride vehicle can't really back up. So that's what happens there. I think it's just the coolest. It amazes me when Disney comes up with things like that.
Mm-hmm. Just like the whole Disney Imagineering concept, and the folks who build those things and come up with the way. Because it's a similar, we have the luxury of, having kind of a compartmentalized thing where we have total control over what it is and we don't have to worry about it being a ride, we just, most of the stuff we make is kind of static. And, but needing to think more about, okay, we have to build something that's going to withstand, thousands of people being on it or touching it or using it or whatever.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. It's a whole nother level to.
You have to think of every possible weird thing somebody's going to do. Plan for that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And have it still work every day. Yeah.
Are you kids? You said they're a little bit hesitant about the spirit store. Are they kind of like that with Halloween, or do they really like Halloween? Do you guys ever plan parties for them or anything?
Our daughter is 2. Mm-hmm. She's better with it. Our son, he's a bit of a skeptic with everything right now. he's kind of like, what would you say?
He'll watch our videos, but he doesn't like to come into the shop right now because all of the animatronics are just in the shop right now. So he'll look in the door and then doesn't want to come in.
Yeah.
So he kind of likes it, but he doesn't love it.
Yeah, we'll
get him
funny.
there.
Just say, it's okay, come on in. This is nothing compared to what's under your bed.
Oh, that's your strategy? Just make him
traumatize him for life.
It is a recent thing, though. Like, I would say up until he was maybe like 3.5, he was all about it. Like, he's in a bunch of our videos. He'd be, he would help us test out the stuff. And I think he just, he got to the age where he started having nightmares recently. Not all the time, but occasionally, as kids do. And so it's a thing we're trying to tread lightly around, because we don't want to. I want him to have a lifelong healthy relationship with the holiday and with this type of stuff. So,
I would say with a yard full of all the stuff you've made, it's kind of like aversion therapy. You're just like throwing him into the pool. Here you go. It's all scary stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you, he could go to school until he could tell his teacher the name of every single Spirit Halloween character and what they do and all that stuff. He won't step foot in the store, but somehow he's like a master. But he
loves all the animatronics. Yeah, he loves watching all the videos of all the setups of the animatronics.
That's so interesting. That's the way my son was. When he was little, he would ride everything at Disneyland but the Haunted Mansion. And he hadn't even gone into the Haunted Mansion, but there was something about it. He knew that it was going to it just triggered him. He just like, no, I am not doing that. And then the same thing happened with, at the time, it was the Tower of Terror. He's like, no, I'm just not doing that. It just somehow pushed his buttons. But you know what?
Terror is pretty scary.
Now they've changed it. Now it's Guardians of the Galaxy, which is a lot more fun, and it's way better now actually than the Tower of Terror. But I guess the ride that triggers the most kids at Disneyland, this is kind of funny, is Snow White's scary adventure. It's a little dark right there because there's a scene where the witch, she like turns and all of a sudden you see her face. And apparently that's the one that sends kids to therapy.
Oh, man. I can't wait
boy.
to take our kids to Disneyland. They have not been yet, but
Yeah.
Oh,
we'll
yeah.
go
Yeah, and they're getting to be right about that age where they can really experience it, and yeah.
soon.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, you guys, congratulations on all the success of your channel and for going full time. Your channel's doing really well, man. You guys are really numbers are just shooting up on that thing, huh?
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's been a good couple months for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And we are definitely gonna have to do this again next year. And I want to see some sort of a video walkthrough of your yard. You got to do it.
Okay.
All right. Hey, it was great talking to you again.
Well, thanks a ton for having us, and have a great Halloween yourself, and to the family and everybody out there watching, happy Halloween. You can find us at youtube.com/wickedmakers, and we're on all the things, TikTok, Instagram, whatever platform you use, you'll
Just
probably
search for
find us there
Wicked
too.
Makers and we'll find you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks again.